You can put it on the board. Yes! Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those giant, massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Hell, wait till you see those brisket. I got a 10-pound brisket in my freezer back at the house. Gotta tell you, the food is phenomenal. Even those big Angus and Prime Wagyu burgers, best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com on your mobile device or on your computer. Maybe you want to give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! All right, a big welcome to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Wild Cable Television affiliates, and Time Warner as well. Also, Hotel TV in every Nielsen-rated market in America. Folks, you can't get away from us. Also, big welcome to everybody on Instagram, Facebook, and AMP TV, AAMP.TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. All right. I'll open you up with a little bit of hockey today because sometimes teams and team administrators and ownership make bad decisions, and they actually admit it, right? That's half the battle. Most of them hardly ever admit they made a bad decision. Well, in this particular case, our friends that may be listening in over with our friends over on WBNW in Boston, the greater Boston market, check this out. The Boston Bruins actually admitted they made a mistake. In signing Mitchell Miller, the Bruins say they failed, says the president of the Boston Bruins, Cam Neely. In fact, he said the team signing controversial prospect Mitchell Miller is absolutely his biggest regret with the organization. And of course, the Bruins cut ties with Miller just 2 days after signing him. And Neely said during a news conference that the Bruins failed in their vetting process in the first place. So he apologized to fans and, of course, the family of Isaiah Meyer Crothers, a developmentally disabled black classmate Miller physically and racially abused as a teen, as it's been reported. Now, Neely admitted the team never contacted the Myers-Crothers family before signing him, and that omissions by the team's hockey operations department was concerning. Well, now, if it was concerning, first of all, why the hell would they contact him? Do they need their approval before signing somebody? Maybe there was a problem between these two guys. I don't know. I wasn't there. But why should the Boston Bruins contact the Myers-Crothers family in the first place? That's complete lunacy, folks. It's a professional sports organization worth, I don't know, $1 billion, whatever the hell it is. Why would they have to contact the family member or the family of somebody that has had a problem in the past? What the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Nothing, folks. Nonetheless, when asked whether anyone in the organization will be disciplined, Neely said, quote, "That's something I have to deal with today and this week and see where it takes me." So here's what we know. This according to Yahoo Sports. Now, what did Mitchell Miller really do? Now, Miller and another classmate, mind you, a classmate we're talking about here, back when they were 14 years of age, they were charged with assault and violating the Ohio Safe Schools Act in February of 2016 after making Meyer Crothers eat a push pop they had wiped in a bathroom urinal. Folks, that's just wrong. Miller, who was just 14 years of age at that time, this kid was 14. He admitted to the charge in an Ohio juvenile court. What 14-year-old boy doesn't do stupid things? I know as a 14-year-old, I did a lot of stupid things, and I still today, as a lot older than 14, if you know what I mean, still do a lot of stupid things. So this kid was 14. Yeah, he did something bad. And of course, the two teens then punched and pushed Myers Crothers, according to a police report obtained by the Arizona Republic. And they were convicted and sentenced to 25 hours of community service, counseling, and writing a court-mandated apology. Not something out of their own sincerity. Now the court said you're going to have to write a written apology. This way it stays on record, of course. Oh, you did something bad, and here it is, 7 years later, whatever the hell, coming back to haunt them. So, Meyer Crothers had to be tested for hepatitis, HIV, and STDs, which all came back negative. And of course, he also told the Arizona Republic a couple of years ago that Miller taunted him for years using racial slurs and repeatedly hitting him. That's one person's opinion, or that's one person's word. There's three sides of every story. Party A, Party B, and then the truth, what really happened. So Sweeney said Miller had apologized to Myers Crothers for what the player termed a mistake in a recent statement. But Myers Crothers' mother, Joni, told WBZ that Miller bullied her son for years, and the player reached out only last week via Instagram. Hey, he didn't have to reach out, period. But he did. And he did it on a big platform, right? We're on Instagram. TSC Show. TSC Show is the Sports Circus show, of course, on Instagram. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Of course, that is a shameless plug. And how about a bigger round of applause just for that? All right. Back to the story. Neely said before adding he planned to speak with Myers Crothers' family, quote, I take a lot of pride in what we stand for as an organization, and we failed there, close quote. But why did the Bruins sign Mitchell Miller? Well, let's face it, Bruins general manager Don Sweeney said he had been working on signing Miller for almost a year. And Miller, a highly touted prospect out of high school, that's why they hired him. That's why they signed him. Was a free agent after the Arizona Coyotes renounced his 2020 draft rights after selecting him in the 4th round. A right-handed shot defenseman, Miller posted 83 points in 60 games with the U.S. Hockey League's Tri-City Storm last season. That's why they hired him. That's why they signed him. Get over it, people. And of course, upon signing him, the Bruins immediately assigned him to their farm team, the American Hockey League affiliate in Providence, Rhode Island. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, guess what? Scouts relayed to the Bruins that Miller had changed since the incident, according to Cam Neely, who said he was made aware of the Bruins' negotiations with Miller and his agent. So what is the damn problem? Well, guess what? Neely, from everything I heard, he says, quote, from everything I heard, he was working on himself, working in a program to better himself. And I was under the impression it was a 14-year-old kid who made a really, really bad decision and did some horrible things. He's 20 years old now. And I was under the impression the last 6 years had had a lot of work done on himself. Close those quotes. And so, look, for 6 years, what's he supposed to do? He's supposed to be in mental prison for 6 years now? And have his career stunted because of something that happened when he was 14 years of age? Give me a damn break. He already had to write a court-mandated apology, do community service, and all this other crap. So how are the Coyotes involved in this circus? Hey, let's be careful of how we use the word circus. Anyway, this happened before. Miller was originally drafted by the Coyotes in the 4th round of 2020, but the team renounced his draft rights after the Arizona Republic published its report that October. And on the same day, the Arizona Republic reported, and the report was published, that the Coyotes doubled down on their decision to draft Miller and said in a statement it was the team's, quote, responsibility to be a part of the solution in a real way, not just saying and doing the right thing to ourselves, but ensuring that others are too, close quote. However, after backlash from the fans and others, really, where's the political pressure coming from? You take a guess. Yeah. Anyway, the Coyotes cut ties with Miller 3 days later, and Miller had been expected to begin playing college hockey at the University of North Dakota that season, but the program dropped him in light of the report, and he was allowed to stay enrolled in classes. So what did the NHL say? Well, Neely said he consulted with the NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley about the Bruins' decision to sign Miller. According to Cam Neely, Daley said Miller would need to get in front of Commissioner Gary Bettman in order to play in the NHL, which is a bunch of BS in my opinion. But Gary Bettman had said, quote, "Before the Bruins made the decision to sign him, we were not consulted," close quote. Bettman said Miller would be currently ineligible to play and may not ever gain NHL eligibility. Bettman called the Miller actions reprehensible, unacceptable during the 2020 Global Series in Finland, and the NHL Player Association told the four-letter network they were not made aware of any active or pending disciplinary action against Miller and questioned why he was being denied eligibility. As for his AHL eligibility, Bettman said that was outside of his mind now. And why did the Bruins cut Mitchell in the first place? Well, the team faced intense backlash following the signing. Yes, so let's wrap our head around that one, folks. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break for a couple minutes. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about this ridiculous situation in just a few moments here on the Circus, because this is ridiculous and we're in the ridiculous business. Don't go anywhere, lots more to come.
Zomerhits,
klopvaste actua,
de leukste cadeaus. Donna.
The sound of summer.
Radio Donna.
NXW Trenton Kicks 101.5. The music you love to hear.
What's up, Doc?
What does he think I am, an imbecile? You nitwit.
Leave him alone.
Quiet. You nitwit. Don't you give me none of your back talk. All right, break it up.
Certainly.
All right, break it up.
Speak when you're told to speak and not before.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting. What does he think I am, an imbecile? Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
I gotta barbecue your ass, Evalet! Stop it! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
WAYB FM 95 Atlantic City.
You're listening to 97 WYNY. WYNY.
Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio, AAMP.TV. The segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with strategy, sales and marketing, capital resources, and establishing companies with physical locations or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For more information, give them a call at 657-600-1876. That's 657-600-1876. 657-600-1876. Or check them out online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. You can also email them at info@abtrustco.com. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS NBC Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the 49ers, home of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and also home of the New York Yankees. Welcome in to everybody that may be listening in with our friends over in California on NBC News and CNBC Financial. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Right here in Las Vegas, KQQY, as well as KIOF. Also, over in Atlanta, Georgia, WDJY 99.1 FM. Auburn, Alabama, WAUD. That's home of the winning. Yes, over Texas A&M. We're going to get to those guys in just a minute. Texas A&M, yes, they've seen some pretty bad times. So guess what? Yeah, about time you take one on the chin. Anyway, payback maybe from last year. I went to that game over at College Station, Texas, between Auburn and Texas A&M with our friends over from the Mason Jar, right over there on University in Auburn, Alabama. If you've ever had great Southern cooking, guess what? You have better Southern cooking over at the Mason Jar. These are our friends. We get nothing for saying this. The food is just bleeping phenomenal, and their milkshakes are bigger than my head. I mean, they are massive. They're good. It's like a milkshake for a family of four. Nonetheless, go see Danny. Tell him that your Ringmaster Sal sent you to the Mason Jar over in Auburn, Alabama. Also, we want to make a big hello to our friends that are picking up our content over in Lubbock, Texas on Raider Radio. That is KTXT 88.1 FM on the campus of Texas Tech University. And welcoming everybody in hotels from coast to coast. Also, Cox Comcast Spectrum, Frontier Wild Cable TV, Time Warner Cable as well. And also on Instagram, Facebook, and AmpTV, AAMP.TV. Like, subscribe, and follow. So in the last segment, it was about the Boston Bruins and Cam Neely, the president, signing Mitchell Miller and then releasing him, right? So he had a problem when he was 14 years of age, doing stupid things, because that's what 14-year-old boys do. They do stupid things. And 14-year-old girls do the same thing. They do stupid things. So this guy did something stupid. And so he's been paying for it. Now he's 20 years old, whatever. And he keeps paying for it and paying for it and paying for it. And this is stupid, because now it has turned into not just an incident with a court-mandated written apology by a 14-year-old and another one. So also they had to do community service, among other things, whatever. The fact is they've paid their debt to society, but Mitchell Miller has to keep paying and paying and paying because, well, you decide, because of that. And it just seems to me that there's a whole lot wrong in this. First of all, the action was wrong, 100%. I do not condone such behavior, but the fact is Mitchell Miller should not be paying for this for the rest of his life. Absolutely not. In fact, we're going to try to bring him onto this program so we can talk a little bit about it. And look, he was drafted by the Coyotes, and the Coyotes said, oh, wait, that's right, there's a problem. They said, look, the Coyotes, they signed him. Doesn't matter. But then there's political pressure. Why? From the Arizona Republic. The newspaper, the media's got to get involved and everything up. Of course, I can't say that word, so we just use that particular buzzer sound. So the media comes in and the whole thing up, and they blow it up because there's an agenda behind it. And I'm sure you can imagine what the agenda is. This is the United States of America, folks, and we know exactly what's going on these days now, don't we? However, that pressure was then transferred from one team to another. So the Coyotes said, oh, no, we can't touch him now. He's too hot. And so Boston says, hey, guess what? He's not hot over here. So let's go ahead and take him over here. Cam Neely signs him, right? And so now they sign him, and then they were going to sign him right to which they did, over to the farm club, only to have him removed from the club very, very quickly. Because of why? Oh, that's right. The good old-fashioned and media got involved again. Yes. It's the media pressure. It's holding up Mitchell Miller's career. In fact, it got so bad that Commissioner Gary Bettman's like, no, now apparently he's not going to be playing so far. And in fact, as for his AHL, American Hockey League eligibility, Gary Bettman said that was outside of his mind right now. And he's like, I'm not even going to deal with this. Anyway, so the Boston Bruins, the team, faced intense backlash following the signing from the league and the players, and Cam Neely acknowledged the role reaction had on the decision to part ways with Miller just 2 days after signing him. In fact, Bruins captain Patrice Bergeron, one of the league's good guys, and forward Nick Foligno are among a couple of the players who expect reluctance and displeasure with the move. So it's like, what the hell are you doing signing this guy? The guy's a great talent. We need a right-handed shot defenseman. Oh, guess what? Because you politically disagree with what's going on or you have to succumb to political pressure, you're going to release him? That's the issue here. And Bergeron said, quote, he quote, didn't necessarily agree, close quote, with the decision when approached by Don Sweeney, the general manager, the previous week. In fact, Neely said he, quote, probably would have been upset as well, close quote. Neely played 13 years in the league and was one hell of a player for the Boston Bruins. Now he's in a political hot seat. So Neely declined to answer whether Miller's camp misrepresented himself during the evaluation process the Bruins engaged in prior to signing him. Miller's agent posted a statement to Twitter defending him and listing numerous community programs which Miller was committed to working. However, one of those programs, the Carnegie Initiative, posted its own statement in response saying it had met with King, being the agent, but, quote, found it best to move on, close quote, and for Miller to, quote, not pursue engaging the Carnegie Initiative, close quote. And it posted a clarification stating, quote, we mutually agreed that Mitchell's best path forward was to be vocal and own what he had done, followed by him finding his voice to speak loudly as a change agent in hockey, close quote. So they're ramming it down this guy's throat. Neely also declined to answer what sort of financial restrictions or restitution might be owed Miller, considering the two sides had signed a contract. We'll get to that in a second. So Neely, quote, initially I was thinking it was going to be okay. This kid deserves a second chance. I thought there would be some people that were going to be upset about it, but to the extent of this, I misread that. I do believe in second chances, but maybe some don't deserve it, close quote. Who the hell is Cam Neely think he is saying, oh, Mitchell Miller doesn't deserve a second chance? Who the does he think he is? That is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. I can't believe that the president of a team in the National Hockey League, any team, I don't give a damn what team you are going to say, maybe some don't deserve a second chance. Give me a damn break. You know what? Boston Bruins, you better have a serious talk with Cam Neely. Yeah, he was a star on the ice, but now he's turned into a political puppet for the ownership of the Boston Bruins. How disgusting. I mean, seriously, folks. What an embarrassment and an abomination to professional sports, to ownership. In the same light, when you think about the former, Washington Redskins turned Washington football team or Washington Commanders. Okay, that team has a name just like the Florida State Seminoles, right? It's an Indian name, Chicago Blackhawks, which actually is a World War I thing. But you think about these different teams out there. The Cleveland Indians named their team the Guardians, right? Because of agenda. Oh, this one was unhappy. That one was unhappy. Everyone gets hypersensitive about everything. Mitchell Miller, in this particular case, he's paid his debt to society. And Mitchell Miller, from a legal standpoint, in my opinion, with my law degree, I say, listen, Mitchell Miller, you have paid your debt to society. You were forced to write a letter of apology, a mandatory court-ordered apology at the age of 14. You're now 20 years old, and you're still dealing with this because some hypersensitive people think that you ought to be punished for the rest of your life. They're trying to play God. Who the hell do they think they are? But the bigger problem lies with the fact that now Mitchell Miller actually has recourse against the Arizona Coyotes against the Boston Bruins, and in my opinion, that's all my opinion, of course, against the Arizona Republic. Yeah. Because what they've done is they've taken the potential income stream of a professional hockey player, a drafted hockey player. This kid's good. He's still good. And they even found it all the way to the University of North Dakota. Oops. I think it's North Dakota or North Dakota State. I think it's North Dakota. It's North Dakota. Anyway, the fact is, 3 organizations, 2 professional organizations, and then 1 collegiate. They've all essentially revoked his right to play. And Gary Bettman himself said, I'll paraphrase, that he's not going to be playing in this league anytime soon or some other BS like that. Whatever it was. Either way, this guy has got a real case, in my opinion. And I hope he rakes them over the coals to make up for all the lost income that he had. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Going to talk a little football. Don't go anywhere. Back in a few.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you.
EXW Trenton Kicks 101.5. The music you love to hear.
WRFM. Stereo 105.
You're listening to 97 WYNY. WYNY.
C100. WAYB FM 95 Atlantic City.
Zwoele zomerhits.
Klokvaste actua.
De leukste cadeaus. Donna.
The sound of summer.
Radio Donna.
Everybody, this is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, a prior guest, or recorded shows, which are our podcasts. So we do an FCC-regulated show. We don't do a podcast like 2 million other people. So now you can hear us over the airwaves in your car, on your mobile devices, whatever. But yes, we are regulated, so we can't see the bad words. And we don't fix it in the mix either, like a lot of other people. Anyway, check out any one of those recorded shows in their entirety by clicking on a little link there. It says podcast, or you can click on your favorite one, whether it's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, whatever. We're on all of those, plus all of our affiliates, or many of them, actually have archives as well. So you can listen to those on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates, independents, whatever. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. One of those partners that's been with us for since the very beginning, would be the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com, for upcoming game event tickets and other cool stuff. Check them out at CSNCoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes! All right. Welcome in, everybody. See our good friend Tyrone Poole's with us. Surprise. Remember Gomer Pyle, he says? Gotta love Gomer Pyle. Gomer was one of the good ones. All right, anyway, going to talk a little college football here, because we can and we probably should, because there was one change in the top 5 slots. In fact, it was a nice big tumble, too. So number 1 did what they were supposed to do. They took care of business. Georgia. Ohio State took care of business. They beat the living daylights out of Indiana in Bloomington. Of course, that always deserves a nice round of applause anytime the Pitchforks in Indiana lose. All right, Michigan maintains with a real nice win. A win they should have probably won by 100 points, but they still get themselves a real nice win over New Jersey. And, of course, TCU takes care of business as well against Texas in a very hard-fought defensive game, very exciting game. And, of course, moving up. Well, not necessarily moving up just yet. Tennessee takes care of business as they're supposed to. LSU does. Southern Cal, the Trojans, move up to number 7 with an easy win over hapless Colorado. Alabama goes up to number 8. Clemson, number 9. This is the AP poll, not the CFP. Utah jumps to number 10, 3 slots. Penn State goes up 3 to number 11. And Oregon, with an embarrassing loss to Washington. And it wasn't that they lost to a bad team. They lost in a bad way. That's the bad part about it. So they dropped 6 slots to number 12. Rightfully so. Hell, they should have just dropped out of the top 25. North Carolina goes up 2 to 13. Ole Miss drops 2 in a very tough game against Alabama. Boy, that game could have went either way. Washington goes up 9 slots after that win against Oregon. UCLA drops 7 slots after an embarrassing loss. Central Florida jumps up 5 slots after a real nice win. Notre Dame goes up 2 to number 18. K-State jumps up 4 to number 19. Florida State, where the hell have they been for the last decade? They're up to number 20 at 7-3, up 5 slots from 25. Tulane drops 5 slots after their loss down to 21. Cincinnati Bearcats, well, they just made it in. Coastal Carolina, they just made it in. Oak State, same. And Oregon State rounded out the top 25. Others receiving votes, NC State, Texas, even after that loss to TCU. Boy, that was a very good game. UT San Antonio, the Roadrunners, get 51 votes. The Men of Troy get 22. The Duke Blue Devils, yes, they get 16 votes. Liberty, after having a great win, they turn right around and lay an egg and lose their spot in the top 25. They only get 15 votes. Illinois, after really an embarrassing loss by the Purdue Boilermakers, yes! Illinois loses at home, get an abysmal 13 votes. Minnesota down to 7 votes. Florida, the Gators actually get 6 votes. So that makes the upcoming Florida State game still meaningless, if you know what I mean. Sorry, folks, it is what it is. Boise State 5 and South Alabama actually gets 1. So then we have the Misery Index. I love this one. This is USA Today. This is one of my favorite things. The Misery Index. From preseason to top 10, the 3-7 Texas A&M Aggies officially hit rock bottom. Give a nice round of applause for that. Of course, USA Today says Texas A&M has two choices, and neither of them are good. The first would be firing Jimbo Fisher, who signed a 10-year, $95 million deal.
Show me the money!
Yeah. And that, of course, is fully guaranteed. That's unbelievable. Just go ahead and fire the guy. Pay him $90 million, call it a day. Whatever. That's what happens in today's time anyway. I mean, such inflation, maybe that'll buy him a gallon of milk, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the second option would be forcing Fisher to give up control of the offense and pay a lot of money to a coordinator. Well, so the head coach no longer has to bear the brunt of the weekly embarrassment that Texas A&M is putting on the field every week. But if it's ultimately option number 2 for Texas A&M, it's pretty much an admission that it had made the worst series of administrative decisions in the history of college football. And when you hire Fisher to run your program, you're hiring Fisher to run your offense. And that's what he's done his entire career. Oops. And that's really who he is. And if you strip that away, what do you really have? Other than a name and a resume that no longer seems relevant to winning at the highest level? Whatever direction this ultimately goes, the only positive way to spin it is that Texas A&M has likely hit rock bottom already after a 13-10 loss at Auburn. Yes! All right, nice round of applause for War Eagle. All right. Good Tigers. And of course, I say that, but of course, we're on the year in Auburn, Alabama. And, frankly, I'm not really a big supporter of Texas A&M anyway, because you know what? We're on the air. Our content is aired over in Lubbock, Texas, with, of course, our friends at Texas Tech University. The student syllabus. Yes! You may have read that press release about 6 weeks ago or so. Nonetheless, so after that loss, look, Texas A&M only gained an abysmal 215 yards of offense. Yes, you heard that right. 215 yards. And there's really nowhere to go but up from there. But at the same time, it's worth stepping back for a second to appreciate just how much of a calamity the season has been for Texas A&M. Of course, ranked number 7 in the preseason poll and hyped up to that one of the greatest recruiting classes of all time on paper they had. And A&M now is 3-7 and won't even go bowling this year. And of course, that's not just a disappointment. It's an abomination, as I said before. And it's all basically on Jimbo's shoulders. All $95 million. Yeah, through 58 games, he's 37-21. His predecessor, Kevin Sumlin, went at least 51-26 in 6 seasons, and they had a much tougher task of transitioning from the Big 12 over to the SEC. Well, guess what? Tough times going on over there in College Station. When Fisher was hired away from Florida State, he was handed a national championship plaque at his press conference with the date to be filled in. It was a symbolic gesture, of course, that he was going to win it someday. Oops! I'm not really sure what happened there, but he's losing, and losing big. What a joke, if you know what I mean. Of course, paying more than $80 million for a coach to go away would be utter lunacy, but it might not be as crazy as allowing this chaos to continue with no result to show for it and no end in sight. So that conundrum is why Texas A&M is number 1 in USA Today's Misery Index. I love that. The Misery Index, and of course, a weekly measurement of which fan bases are feeling the most PO'd at and about their program. Now, 4 more in misery, and I would almost consider this to be the most colossal disappointment of the year. And that'd be Oklahoma. Brent Venables is officially on the hot seat, and that doesn't mean he's going to get fired the next few weeks or whatever, but look at it this way. Going into next season, the scrutiny is going to be really high because guess what's going to happen? Look, these guys are on the brink of going into where? Going into the SEC. And look, this guy's first season reached an all-time low with a 23-20 loss at West Virginia, dropping the paper clips, because that's what I call them. The logo actually looks like a paper clip. That'd be Oklahoma. So it actually looks like that. But nonetheless, dropping these guys, well, let's put it this way, to a really poor position. And that's 5 wins against 5 losses. Yes, Oklahoma. It's probably not going to happen, but with the remaining games against Oklahoma State and Norman and Texas Tech and Lubbock, there's an outside chance that Oklahoma could miss the postseason entirely. That hasn't happened in about 25 years, which is the year John Blake was fired and Bob Stoops was hired. Of course, Oklahoma being this bad is like seeing a comet. It just doesn't occur very often, but you remember where you were when you saw it. And Oklahoma needs to get its act together before it dips its toes into the SEC, like I said, in a couple of years. If they still look like a middle-of-the-pack team from the Big 12, well, let's face it, there's going to be some big changes that go on over there. Now, Oregon also made the index, the misery index, that is, not as the top spot, but they're an honorable mention, of course, for their, well, let's put it this way. They made a really bad play on the field, and it was remarkably embarrassing for them. In fact, maybe when we come back, we're going to pick up there, because I don't want to gloss over this stuff. This misery index thing, it's my new favorite thing that I've read anywhere. And yes, it actually came from USA Today. Who knew? Who would have thought it? Certainly not I. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Don't wait. Call right now. 888-794-1630. 888-794-1630. Write it down. 888-794-1630. Again, for the last time, 888-794-1630.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company. 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, maybe someone socked you in the mouth, and you need an attorney. Contact Legal Shield. Maybe they can help. 213-245-1305 for more information. 213-245-1305. Again, that's 213-245-1305. Or check them out online at nocourt.us. That's www.nocourt.us. An astounding round of applause for our friends over at Legal Shield. Thanks for being with us for so many years. Also, welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, from Hawaii all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, and hell, all the way from, well, Alaska, all the way down to Miami as well, on television, on hotel television, and over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. Also, our affiliates, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, WOW, Cable, and Time Warner Cable Television. All of our affiliates, thanks for joining us, as well as everybody on Instagram, Facebook, and AmpTV, AAMP.TV. Like, subscribe, and follow. All right, so we had the misery index. Our new favorite thing from USA Today. Who knew? And so we already talked about Oklahoma, but the king of misery for this edition was, of course, Texas A&M with their abysmal 3-7 path. They look awful, and of course, very nice to see War Eagle take it to them over at Jordan-Hare Stadium over in Auburn, Alabama. Good stuff. Now, Oregon made the index as well as an honorable mention, and USA Today says the Ducks made one appearance in the college football playoffs, the very first one, back in 2014. Since then, they've had teams that looked the part on paper, but lost games they weren't supposed to lose and ended up on the outside looking in. And of course, this year was supposed to be different. And the Ducks erased that embarrassing blowout loss by 46 to open the season against Georgia, and would have had a pretty good shot of making it into the playoff if they would have won its home games against Washington and Utah. However, sometimes things are just not supposed to happen a particular way. So instead, first-year coach Dan Lanning looked like a first-year coach when the pressure was on against UW. In fact, in a game that was tied at 34, Lanning made a panic call to go for 4th and 1 on his own 34. Mind you, the game was tied. Yes, with just a minute and a half remaining in the game. What kind of blithering idiot does that? Got to tell you, folks, that's pretty remarkably embarrassing, and I wouldn't want to be him at the post-game press conference, if you know what I mean. Nonetheless, Noah Whittington, the running back who was handed the ball, slipped and fell behind the line of scrimmage. Oops. And of course, that decision pretty much handed Washington a 43-yard field goal attempt that ended up being the game winner. And even worse, Lanning didn't call timeout to get Bo Nix back into the game for the crucial play after he was hurt on the previous series, but was clearly lobbying on the sidelines to get back in. We will never know. But if Oregon punts the ball, the game is probably going to overtime. And that's a playoff-altering decision a more experienced coach would have had to have the patience to make in the first place. So then you have to ask yourself, okay, where am I at, folks? I'm in Las Vegas! And what do they do here?
Show me the money!
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of money could be involved. I don't know. So why wouldn't the coach punt the ball? Why would the coach let his Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback back into the game? Now, everybody that's listening to this in Auburn right now, if you're listening to this, because, you had Bo Nix last year, and Bo Nix wasn't, well, he wasn't diddly. Put it that way. So anyway, that deserves a kung fu laughter. But the fact is, if you've got your superstar, air quotes, everybody on TV can see it, you got your superstar quarterback lobbying to get back in the game. He's not getting back in the game. Why? I'm not really sure. He was ready to get back in the game. And you're going for it deep in your own zone, basically handing the other team the game. Now, maybe, I don't know. Think about this, folks. Just think about this. How much does Dan Lanning make? Does he make as much as guys like Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and all those really well-paid guys? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. This is my opinion. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to it, so don't say I can't say it. Maybe there was a little bit of...
Show me the money!
I don't know. Because these kind of things happen, and coincidentally, they are certainly preventable. Well, the coach, Dan Lanning, could have prevented his team going for it, 4th and 1 at his 34-yard line, with the game tied. Why would he do that? What a boob, in my opinion. Why would he do that? Well, guess what? In my opinion...
Show me the money!
Yes, there may have been some money involved there. And that's the only thing I can think of, because other than that, this makes no damn sense at all. Anyway, we'll let you think about that and think about those Vegas fixes that we always talk about. And check out placeyourbet.vegas for good betting information. In fact, placeyourbet.vegas gave away to all those non-believers. Yes, gave away a parlay, and yes, we have the ticket for it. Gave away Ohio State minus 40.5 on the road against Indiana. Very well a trap game. And the next day, for the NFL, of course, guess what? They gave away placeyourbet.vegas, that would be Sal the bookmaker, gave away, yes, the Colts on the road plus 4.5. And in fact, also took the money line. And yes, it was the Colts with a win at the Raiders. Because the Raiders just can't win. They have complete disarray in that locker room. The Raiders have talent, but they have no system. And Tyrone, if you're watching, you know something about that Raiders team. You played with that team. You had that hat on your head. And you know the difference between a team that's very well coached and organized, from the top all the way down, all the way to these teams that you're like, well, why are they even in the league? Are they capable of winning? The Raiders chemically are a chemical disaster, but they're loaded with talent. Not even Devontae Adams can save them. Not even Carr can save them. It doesn't matter who's on that club. Nothing can save them! Love it! I'm not a Raiders guy. So for me, it's happy day. Just like when I saw the Packers go on a 5-game losing streak. To me, that was really a happy day for me. Unfortunately, they somehow get an overtime win in a very convenient scenario where the former coach is playing his old team at Lambeau Field, right? Well, we know what happens there. Anyway, that's another story. But nonetheless, back to this misery thing. I like this misery index. Kentucky makes the list as well. Mark Stoops has raised the bar at Kentucky enough over the last several years to be honest when they fall short of expectations. And you like that. And let's face it, this Kentucky team is a massive disappointment and a team that has been pegged to be second best in the SEC East fell to surprising depths with a 24-21 home loss to Vanderbilt. Yes, Vanderbilt. Good in baseball, not very good in football. Great at academics, certainly better than Kentucky, if you know what I mean. Nonetheless, not on the gridiron. Anyway, this time they were. Combined with a loss to South Carolina and a botched finish against Ole Miss, Kentucky's 6-4 record should probably be closer to 8-2 or 9-1. But Vandy, they drove 80 yards in 12 plays against Kentucky for the game-winning touchdown with 32 seconds left, leaving the Wildcats wondering what the hell could have happened. What could have been for a team that has been way, way, way overrated or maybe underperforming. And all that talent, they're blowing games, well, I guess like this sort. Sort of like, oh yeah, the Raiders. Blowing games like them because they're a team that can't hold the lead. Anyway, it was only a few months ago that Stoops and Kentucky basketball coach John Calipari were arguing on social media when Calipari stated, "This is a basketball school," while questioning why the school wasn't building a new practice facility for his program. Stoops had done incredible things at Kentucky, but this is the kind of loss that makes fans at the university think Calipari may have been right. They're both wrong! It is what? Are you ready, folks? It is a university. It's not a football or a baseball or basketball school or a basket weaving school. No, it is a university. And speaking of universities, how about Wisconsin? They also made honorable mention for the misery index. The last 7 games of the season don't really matter for the Badgers except as an audition for Jim Leonhard getting the full-time gig. I mean, look, He's pretty good. And of course, a former Wisconsin player, highly regarded defensive coordinator, was moved into the interim head coaching spot after the firing of Paul Chryst. And people in college football thought that Leonard would get the full-time gig if he did well. If he didn't, Wisconsin might look a different direction. But of course, it's difficult to draw a lot of conclusions from the results. Easy wins over Northwestern, disappointing loss to Michigan State, very good wins over Purdue, and very good win over Maryland, followed by an abysmal loss at Iowa, 24-10, where Wisconsin had a whopping 227 yards of total offense and committed 3 turnovers. So it looks to me like, well, Texas A&M, with their 220-odd yards, could be playing Wisconsin against their 220-odd yards in the toilet bowl. I think there's your postseason game for both of those teams. Anyway, it's hard to say that a Chris coach team would have done more and they would have done better or worse, which really puts athletic director Chris McIntosh in a bind. And Wisconsin fans want to believe in Leonard because it's the easiest, most convenient, and most sentimental hire to make in the first place. And on the other hand, not much has changed on the field since he's been in charge. That's the problem. Interim Wisconsin head coach Jim Leonard, teams are tampering with other teams' players. That's what he claims. That's what he alleges. And of course, with a bunch of conflicting data, this is going to be a big decision for Wisconsin. Is probably Leonard is the right guy in the first place. But losing by 2 touchdowns to such a terribly mediocre Iowa team will justifiably give the Badgers administration and fan base a lot of anxiety and making that move permanent. Now, more miserable and better yet, miserable but not miserable enough mentions by USA Today real quick would be Illinois, of course, regressing after starting out hot and then now they're tied for the lead in the Big Ten West. They're not playing so well. The Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, well, let's face it, these guys are not really good. They're 6-19, 6-19 in Big Ten play under Greg Schiano in his second act. They need to pull it together. Missouri is more like misery. Got off to a real hot start, and then Eli Drinkwitz's contract extension happened, and guess what? For what? The Tigers they're giving up 700-odd yards in a game. I mean, it's getting ugly over there. Baylor, the Baylor Bears stink, just like the Chicago Bears. And of course, Vatek, everybody's punching bag these days. They're not very good. Tell you what, folks, that's going to do it for the circus. We're out of time. And thanks for tuning in right here on your favorite station, and we'll see you next time at about 23 hours. Until then, so long, everyone.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.